All right, everybody, welcome to today's masterclass on mastering product validation. This is going to be a walkthrough on how we evaluate products based on advanced data. We're going to be using DataDive. The reason that we even created DataDive as a software is because we wanted to go deep into the analysis of product niches, how competitors are getting their sales, what the risk around doing a product might be, whether we should do a product, how to write the listing to maximize rank and returns and traffic, and what ads to turn on. So DataDive is a product research and validation tool. It's a keyword research tool, and it's an SEO tool more than anything. So you're going to get a little bit of how we look at products and whether your product that you want to do is a good idea. The most important thing to know about today, though, is that this process is required at any level of selling. We do the same evaluation on every product, even though we're doing tens of millions of dollars on Amazon, because every single time you evaluate a product, you write the listing, you send ads, or you turn on ads, it's the same seller systems over and over and over again, repeated. So I'm joined today by Anthony Cofrancesco. You're going to get an introduction to him. He is amazing, and he's going to be leading a lot of today's workshop. So a little bit about myself. I've been selling on Amazon since 2015. My wife and I, when we were just dating, decided to start a business together. And we started with wholesale and liquidation. And so I want to briefly just tell you, if you're not selling on Amazon, over 60% of all the products sold on Amazon are sold by third-party sellers. That's a lot of many billions of dollars that are sold by people like you and me who have small businesses or just decide to start a business to start selling on Amazon. Now, there are several different ways to sell. You can sell by going and buying things at the store and then flipping it. So those are other people's products. You can buy from distributors or major brands directly. That would be more of a wholesale business model. And you can do private label, so you can create your own brand. And that's what we teach how to do. We teach you how to evaluate the opportunity to sell in a specific niche or a specific type of product, and then what data to look at in order to figure out whether you can do it better, and then how to do it better. So that's an entire learning curve around analysis, data, keywords, SEO, and then sourcing, design, product design. So we're going to talk about a lot of that today. My brands did over $20 million on Amazon last year. I'm still a seller first. I still make more money selling than I do teaching. I've always felt like that's kind of the sign of being a fake guru, is if I stop selling and keep teaching, I'm quickly going to be left in the past because Amazon is constantly evolving and what I teach will become outdated. So what I learn from selling, I teach with Seller Systems, with our community, our mastermind, which has over 1,000 sellers in it. And over 400 of our members are doing over $1 million a year. Now, our course, our mastermind, has won awards. We've been recognized as one of the top courses out there because, again, we're practicing what we preach. We have a very high success rate because we teach you how to make decisions based in data. And our community follows a practice of abundance mentality. So we're always teaching you to give back, because the more you give, the more you receive. So when you join our community, you're always going to have people you can lean on that are doing what you are trying to do as well. Now, about 2 years ago, we launched DataDive because we were taking massive amounts of data from other software out there like Helium 10, and then we were having to manipulate that data with our own formulas and in sheets, and we decided that that could become its own software. So funny enough, our tech co-founder and my partner in DataDive, Florian, he joined to learn how to sell. And over the last few years, he's built up his own multi-million-dollar Amazon business. So it's a really funny story in that aspect, but he's also helped us build out a tech team to build DataDive because this is what he did in his previous life. And so we've been able to build this software and grow it to over 6,000 users paid users are now using Data Dive. So I'll pass it along to Anthony so he can tell you a little bit more about himself.
So first off, welcome to everyone who joined, and for the people that got to see at Co-Create in Vegas, welcome back. Everyone catching this on the recording, I think you're going to get a lot out of the presentation. We're going to be teaching you everything you need to know about product validation today. Brandon obviously is a rock star in a lot of the brains. We have many brains in the company. Brandon mentioned his wife, Jennifer, but one of the brains behind Seller System, Data Dive, and the product business we have. A little bit about myself. I have been in the Amazon ecosystem and industry since 2017. I actually launched my first product on Amazon before I started working in a full-time job at Amazon. I worked there for about a year. A buddy of mine that I met in college who taught me how to sell on Amazon, this is before there was any courses, he called me one day and said, "Hey, why don't you quit your job working at Amazon? I have a creative agency in Manila in the Philippines. Why don't you quit your job, move out to the Philippines and help me scale this thing?" So I moved out to the Philippines, grew that company for 2 years, was able to exit that company, learned a lot about images, a lot about conversion optimization. If you choose to join Inner Circle, if you choose to join Seller Systems, you'll see some of those workshops in there. After I exited the agency, I went and worked with a company called PickFu, another software tool, but focused on split testing for Amazon, really around creative images and assets. We're going to talk a little bit about how tools like that make its way into our validation process. And then the last about 2.5 years now, I've been working with Seller Systems and Data Dive. I get a lot of face-to-face time with users, with some of the largest accounts in the industry, really large sellers, and I've been able to see a bunch. What I really love about working in this industry is the freedom and flexibility. It's extremely hard work, but being able to run your own business, being able to have the freedom to live anywhere in the world that you want. I'm a big skier. I love flying my drone all over the world. I love traveling and I loved working at Amazon, but having to go into an office every single day or at least 4 times a week was just a deal breaker for me. And I know many of you out there, especially a lot of the people I met at Co-Create, were saying, you know what? I've been doing X, Y, and Z for so long. I'm getting old. I'm getting tired. I'm looking for something new. I'm looking for something different. And so our goal today is to show you what the opportunity is with Amazon, but also give you some realistic ideas of what goes into running a business like this and help you avoid some of the most common pitfalls that we see out there. So this masterclass, I'm going to kick off the introduction and a little bit more of the high level overview, and then Brandon's going to walk you through a real world example. We're going to start first with an introduction where kind of we walk through what's the landscape of selling on Amazon right now. We're going to spend some time explaining what we call the MKL or master keyword list. And it's really the whole basis of how Data Dive works and how our entire product validation process, how that works. We're going to spend some time explaining the most common reasons that products fail and how you can avoid those. And then we're going to go through a workflow for product validation that uses Data Dive. This is something that we use when we're validating our own products, our students use when validating their product, and is going to help you identify what niches have the best opportunities and then help you get your head around how those products need to be developed to understand how risky is a niche, how competitive is a niche, and what's the budget required to launch the product. If we have some time at the end, there's some extra products that we've already gone ahead and validated. Going through this process the first time is a little bit strange, so we're here to offer a lot of support, and then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. Now, I think after each section, we're going to open it up to Q&A. So as you have questions, we probably won't break up the individual section, but like I said, at the end, you can either raise your hand or you can add your questions to the chat, and we'll try to get through as many of those as possible. Also, at the end of this presentation, you're going to see a link for a survey. This is super helpful. It just takes a couple minutes. If you could fill this out, and then every month we're giving away big prizes to randomly selected survey participants. Okay. Really important. If you We sent out an email to everyone who registered for this. We had almost 200 people, from what I understand, register for this masterclass. So if you're watching this on the YouTube or watching this on the recording rather, you should still go and follow this process. We have a code for everyone to download Data Dive. And this is really important. You shouldn't just watch what we're doing here on screen. We want you to get involved. We want you to get engaged. And if you have Data Dive running while we're going through this product validation workflow, you're going to be able to practice filling out the product scorecard, filling out the profits tool, and you're going to retain a lot more and be able to execute on this on your own much better. So if you haven't already done this, I'm going to remind you probably 3 or 4 more times before we get into the section where we're following along with Brandon. You need to go to datadive.tools, go to the pricing page, click on the starter plan. That's the least expensive plan. Choose starter and then use the code CoCreate24. That's going to give you a 1-month free starter trial, which is going to be plenty to follow along in today's activity. And then you're going to have enough credits to probably validate, I'd say 2 to 3 additional products on top of what we do today. So if you're already selling a product online, if you have an idea for a product, you're going to want to go and download the Chrome extension for Data Dive so that you can follow along. And we're going to go step by step how to go through this workflow. So the next section is going to be what I call the future of selling on Amazon. And I like to start with this intro because it's really important to understand how this industry has evolved over the years, and then also to give realistic expectations on what goes into this business. So if you've seen any YouTube ads from other gurus out there talking about selling on Amazon, it makes it seem like this whole situation is really easy. It's pretty much an ideal world where you have all of these shoppers who are already shopping for products online, and they've got tons of money that they're ready to spend. And so your job as a potential seller is very easy. All you have to do is go online. You don't even have to get on a plane necessarily anymore. Find low price products that you can source from China, slap those products up on Amazon, and now you have this formula to get rich, right? People ready to spend a lot of money. You just got to fill those gaps, and then you can make a ton of money. And from a practical standpoint, explaining it like that, I mean, that is technically true. But the reality is that selling on Amazon is a little bit more complex, a little bit more difficult than that. It's true that some sellers make unimaginable amounts of money. This is one thing that I've really loved about being in this industry and loved about getting to meet other sellers, people, even our own students that are making just ridiculous amounts of money, like crazy amounts of money, amounts of money that you would never even think about. But the reality is most sellers are actually not making millions of dollars on Amazon. This is from a Jungle Scout State of the Industry report, and you can see that the majority of sellers are actually making pretty small amounts of money with a much smaller distribution at the top end. And so even the sellers on the large end, the people who are doing really well, are facing challenges as well. There's another survey, another set of research that came out from a company, Marketplace Pulse. They were tracking the top Amazon sellers over a period of 7 years. And what they found is only 20% of the top sellers on Amazon retained those positions after 7 years, and 40% left the platform entirely. Some really large companies, if you're new to the industry, you might not know that over the past few years, large private equity companies with super smart people, tons of funding, went in and started acquiring different Amazon businesses, raising hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to go and acquire these businesses, run these businesses. And many of them have actually gone bankrupt in the last couple of years, right? This one on the left, Bentago Group, they filed for bankruptcy last year in September. Thrasio filing for bankruptcy recently as of February of this year. You also, if you've started engaging at all with content about selling on Amazon or selling in e-commerce, you've probably seen ads like this, someone standing in front of a Lamborghini, people telling you how easy it is, just find a product on Alibaba, throw it up on Amazon, and you can make tons and tons and tons of money. The reality is that selling on Amazon as an individual is going to have a high fail rate due to there being a lot of misinformation, but then also the coaches of these programs not accurately explaining what the risks are. We're going to cover a lot of that today, and a majority of people just from watching this webinar, you're going to be in a much better position than majority of people that are going through and attempting to sell on Amazon. And so some of the things we're going to cover today are going to explain what do you have to do to break out of these top two groups here of about the 50% of people that are only making about $1,000 a month. We're going to talk about how to break out of that group. So I think I've already explained this a little bit, but selling on Amazon is a very simple business model, but it has high levels of complexity. And another reality is that selling on Amazon now is more competitive than it has ever been, and it's only going to continue to get more competitive. But at the same time, the processes, the knowledge that we have now, the software and the tools that we have now makes it easier and more accessible for anyone. People who have legitimately good ideas, people who can really focus and be diligent on executing these workflows can do extremely well. So I won't spend too much time on this, but just to get an idea of how the industry has evolved over time, I break it down into four main parts. We have the Wild West, the early days, aggregator boom, and the software boom. So Wild West is really everything pre-2016. This is when Amazon as an e-commerce platform is quite new. And this is really where it was extremely easy to make a lot of money on Amazon. Really, the thought was Amazon, just like they filled their platform with every conceivable book title, and they wanted shoppers to be able to buy those products. In pre-2016, it's like every conceivable product needs to get onto the platform. There's tons of people that are searching for products, and all we got to do is fill that demand. It didn't really matter how good technically you were at Amazon. You could make a lot of money very, very easily. In the early days, this is like 2016 to 2019, this is where you start to see advanced strategies becoming essential, like courses start coming out, teaching the nuts and bolts behind how Amazon's algorithm works. And really, the sellers who were able to execute just on the fundamentals were able to do very, very well. You could really be proficient in just one category, like be really good at images, be really good at pay-per-click advertising, and you could dominate your niche. In around 2020 to 2022, this is around when COVID is happening. This is what we call the aggregator boom. So this is a huge investment of like huge amounts of money that's being dumped into the industry to acquire different Amazon brands. And there's a big boom, but ultimately a bust, really showing that just throwing huge amounts of money, huge amount of resources, the smartest people at a business is not necessarily going to indicate that you're going to be super successful. In fact, many large, well-funded aggregators were beat out by solopreneurs and very small teams that were able to work efficiently and just focus on the fundamentals, just focus on the basic. Where we are right now is what I call the software boom. So we've taken the lessons from the past that we learned in the aggregator boom, and what we're finding is that the businesses that are really doing the best are run by small, ultra-efficient teams leveraging software, automation, and AI to do the same work that massive teams of individuals would previously have attempted to manage entire portfolios, sometimes hundreds, if not thousands of products. And they're doing this super efficiently. They're launching new products on a regular basis. They're developing their brands using AI and automation. We're not going to cover so much of this today, but if you are interested in learning more about everything that is related when it comes to selling on Amazon, so sourcing products, developing those products, launching the products, writing listings, creating images, running ads, all of that is covered inside of our course, and it really is pretty comprehensive. It's complex, but once you get to understand how all of these pieces work together, it becomes a lot more simple. So before selling on Amazon, like I said, was very easy. You could be really proficient in just one or two categories. Let's say you're really good at sourcing a product or developing a product. You're really good at making content. That's like your images, your video, your listing. You could just dominate a niche just by dominating basically two of these categories. Where we are now is that in order just to compete, you really have to be proficient in all categories. So I met some people at Co-Create. They've launched products, they've failed. A big reason why sellers fail, and we're going to get into some more of this later, is because they're really good at one area, but if you're not really executing at every area correctly, it's not going to be easy to do well. And so if you're attempting to launch products on Amazon and you don't have information coming from people who know how Amazon works, if you're not getting a holistic view of all of the things you need to do for Amazon, your likelihood of success is going to go down a lot. So you might be looking at that and you might be saying, well, Anthony, I think I'm going to jump off of this webinar right now because this sounds way too complicated. This sounds too complex. It sounds too difficult. And you're probably wondering, is making money on Amazon even still possible? Should I even try this? And I like to start with the intro that I just gave because it's the truth. It's realistic, it's honest, and it is not easy to make money on Amazon. It takes work, it takes time, and it takes investment in order to be successful. But you absolutely can still make products do well on Amazon. You can still make tons of money. And we have a few examples that I'm going to share right now, examples just in the past few months of our students that have done extremely well. Inside of Seller Systems, we have more than 1,000 members. More than 300 of those members are making more than $1 million a year on Amazon. So a couple quick examples. And if you want to see, I'm not just throwing some faces up on a screen. These are absolutely real people. You can go to the Data Dive YouTube channel totally for free. And you can see I've just done case studies with both of the people that I'm about to show. They talk about some of the problems and challenges that they face to launching their products. The first one is one of our students, Dimitro. He's been a seller for years. He also runs an agency called Sales Bite. He's a very active member inside of our Inner Circle community. And he launched a product about 4 months ago and is now doing $75,000 a month, 30% profit margins, right? That's the high level. You can go and check out the full video. But the full story is, you're like, man, can I replicate that same success? The full story is Dimitro is extremely skilled. This guy is based full-time in Ukraine, is still managing to launch a product with all of the chaos that's going on over there, still runs a full-time agency. And he was actually, we won't get into this today, but this is our Data Dive software showing our daily rank tracking. What you should know is that red is bad, green is good. And this is within about a month from launch, using the SOPs and strategies we teach inside of Inner Circle, is able to get indexed. Some of these are very high organic rank within the first month of launching product. If you move on from product validation, you're going to learn the exact methods and exact strategies that you too, if a product passes validation, you too can launch products to get to the top of page one within about a month of launching if you're taking all of the correct actions. It also wasn't super easy. Realistically, Dimitro, there's no profit, all growth mode for the first 3 months. We talk about that in our launch masterclass. He ran out of stock and just all in all, still a ton of potential. Another really good example is this guy, Arnav Gupta. I actually met him at Co-Create almost exactly 1 year ago. And this guy is still in college, full-time college student, about to graduate with a degree in engineering. He made a new product launch in the most recent month, did $65,000 in 1 month at 18% profit margins. You can also go to the Data Dive YouTube channel and see a full breakdown of that. The full story, though, is he went through a ton of challenges on the way to doing well here. He ran out of stock. He had to relaunch a product. He didn't order enough inventory. He had the wrong size product. And he spent a lot of time, like going probably 5 to 10 times deeper than most sellers will on the sourcing process. You can see here, this is a photo of us at Co-Create from this year. I'm curious who I met from Co-Create this year is going to be the success story for next year coming up. We're going to show you today how to fill out the product scorecard. This is his product scorecard, getting a score of a positive 650. We're going to explain what all of that means today in today's webinar. just another Rank Radar screenshot. I won't get into this too much, but red is bad, green is good. The point with selling on Amazon is you've got to be dedicated. You've got to be willing to hustle. You've got to be willing to put in the time. You can see most sellers, if they're launching a product, they're going to give up when things get bad. Here or here when he ran out of stock, and never realized that they could make it here. So after we get through this webinar today, what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, did you enjoy the process of validating product? And if you felt like, hey, this is kind of fun, I can see myself really digging into this, I could see myself putting some time into validating dozens and dozens of products, then it might be a signal that you're ready to make the investment, move forward, and spend some more time in learning about selling on Amazon. Okay, so that's the introduction. That's the whole landscape of selling on Amazon. Let's get into a little bit about why products fail. I'm going to quick reminder for anyone who hasn't done so already. There's still time. There's about like 15, 20 minutes left, I think, in this content before we get to the product validation example. Go to DataDive, use the code CoCreate24, go to the pricing page, click on the starter plan, use this code, you'll get a free trial to DataDive. You absolutely want to be following along. If you don't have your laptop out right now, go and pull it out, because you're going to retain a lot more if you follow along with the workflow as we teach it. So, a handful of ways that products typically fail. We're going to show you how to avoid each of these today. Number one is not enough capital in running out of inventory. This is probably the biggest way that we see products fail. And even in those last two examples that we shared from Arnav and Dimitro, both of these are, Arnav is a brand new seller, Dimitro is a seasoned seller. Both of them ran out of stock on their products. Both of them did not have enough inventory. Luckily, they were both able to recover and have successful launches afterwards. But this is a really, really big factor. We're going to talk about how you can accurately forecast the budget required to launch and sales velocity. We're going to talk about that today. Another big reason that products typically fail is there's not enough profit per sale. A lot of gurus, a lot of other coaches will get out there and say, hey, I made $100 million last year. I made $1 million last year on Amazon, but they don't talk about profit. That's why in those last two examples, I really wanted to mention, okay, these are the real profit margins that these sellers are making. Arnav is not making $85,000 that he gets to put into his bank account. It's $85,000 at 18% margins, right? Dimitro is not making $65,000 last month and putting all of that into his bank account. It's $65,000 with a very healthy 30% margin. If you're doing like 20, 30% margins on your products, that is fantastic in the grand scheme of how Amazon is doing. But not enough people who are launching products are spending enough time to figure out what is going to be their profit per sale. And so we're going to cover this as well inside of the profit side of the workflow. And we're going to show you how to accurately account for all costs and set your ROI requirements in advance of launching. You don't want to launch a product, make a ton of money for Jeff Bezos, all of the other investors of Amazon. You want to be able to take the money and actually reinvest it into the business, or eventually, once it's grown enough, be able to take distribution. Another really big reason that products fail is there's not enough aggregate search volume. You've probably heard us say at CoCreate, if you've watched our other content, we are not selling products, we are selling keywords. So if people are not already searching for your product on Amazon, if there's not enough search demand for that niche, then you're not going to do well. It's going to be very difficult. If you have a brand new product invention, something that doesn't currently exist on Amazon, Amazon might not be the platform for you to launch that product. It might make sense to use something else like Kickstarter or go direct to consumer. We're going to show you today how to find out if there is search demand already on Amazon and what the competition is for that niche that you're investigating. Another big reason that products typically fail is not enough keywords or route diversification. We're going to cover this inside of the product scorecard workflow, and we're basically going to be able to see, is everyone searching for the product in just one way, Or are there many different ways that people are searching for a product and many different opportunities for sale? We're going to show you how to verify what we call the master keyword list. We're going to show you how to verify that search volume and again, see how competitive the current landscape is inside of that niche and see if it makes sense to launch. Another big reason that products typically fail is that there's too many sellers selling the exact same thing. We're going to show you how to research the competition. We're going to show you using our AI product brief how you can get ideas for differentiation. Something that used to take hours and hours, if not days and weeks, we've heard from some of our users, they would spend just on product development. Now our AI product brief is going to do this in just minutes. Another big reason that products typically fail is choosing an unpopular color or design. We're going to show you how you can benchmark your designs, your ideas, your iterations with A/B testing. We're partnered with basically every A/B testing company out there. We're going to share some discount codes and a process. I think we'll even have time to run some A/B tests today. I've got my accounts pulled up. Another big reason that products will typically fail is poor quality control. So it's really important that you research competitors. You're ordering samples in advance. You're doing pre-shipment inspections. IP infringements is another really big one you want to steer clear of. Before you launch a product, you want to make sure that there are no trademarks, there's no utility patents that you're violating. And so before you launch a product, researching your competitors for trademarks, for patents before you order those samples and waste a lot of time and money. Now, Brandon, I want to hand it back over to you for a minute because in addition to all the things we've shared, there's some product categories I think that new sellers most likely want to avoid.
Yeah, so one of the things that I recommend doing is really understanding the space and all of these learning curves before you make a move into some sophisticated categories. So you have to understand what is going to be required to sell certain types of products and who you're going up against. So I've made a small list here of some categories that I would probably avoid if you were just starting out, because the learning curve on Amazon is hard enough as it is. So we want you to choose a product where you can really walk the process. It's going to be a medium to low risk product. You're not exposing a lot of your capital, and you're able to really understand what all those learning curves are, from keyword research and sourcing and content development, that, you know, creating images and content that's going to convert well or better than your competitors. And then the marketing side of things. Advertising on Amazon is the #1 way to drive your keyword ranks up, your organic keyword ranks. And you need a combination of organic ranks and your paid ad sales in order to really make a profit. And so you have to be running ads pretty aggressively in order to get your ranks. And if you're running the wrong ads, you could be just lighting your money on fire. If you're running ads without the listing being properly written and your organic ranks are not moving, you could again be lighting your money on fire. So these categories are faster moving. They're full of cutthroat sellers that have been doing it a lot longer with really deep pockets. And so you're going to be going up against really, really strong competition, which increases the risk that you don't have enough capital. All the reasons that Anthony said a product might fail, but there's even more to it. So wireless accessories, we made the mistake of actually starting with that category, Jennifer and I, and it was because we were doing some wholesale with wireless accessories, and we thought we could jump into it. Now, there's an entire city in China, one of the largest cities in the world, called Shenzhen, and it's where the majority of electronics are developed and made there. It's the Silicon Valley of China. Now, you have thousands and thousands of Amazon sellers that are based there, where they're actually manufacturing these electronics and wireless accessories, and they are selling directly on Amazon against you. So you're going to be going up against factories. And so the margin that you're going to be able to get is smaller than theirs. And so they are willing to move more units at a smaller margin in order to continue to make a lot of dollars. And so the other issue with wireless accessories and electronics is that you have a short lifetime value. So LTV is lifetime value. Think about whenever a new cell phone comes out, like iPhone just announced the latest iPhone 16, the 15 accessories are going to take a hit and go down. The 14 are going to drop to almost a very low velocity, right? And so that continues to happen when the newest, latest version comes out. And so there's a cycle of products doing well and then falling. So it's not something you want to do. Now, supplements and skincare and beauty are products and grocery to an extent. Those are products that you get reorders. So there is a customer acquisition cost, or CAC. And that is the game that those sellers play. They're willing to pay $20, $30, $40 to acquire a customer that makes a $30 or $40 purchase. Now, they're clearly losing a lot of money on that first order and maybe even the second order, but they understand the buyer habits because they've been doing this long enough, and they understand that they can make it up when the customer orders their second, third, fourth, or fifth product. They understand the average reorder rate and the lifetime value of that customer, so they're willing to invest $100 to make $300 over the course of a year. Now, so you might not know that, and if you enter this niche trying to make money on that first sale, you're never going to get your organic ranks to be able to show up on those keywords because they're going to be far more aggressive with running ads and spending a lot per click. You're going to have a tough time getting your ads to show up because you're trying to spend $3, $4, $5 a click that you're willing to pay every time someone clicks on your ad, and they're paying $10, $15, $20 a click. I've seen even as high as that or more. So these are some of the categories that I would avoid if you're just getting started, or if you don't consider yourself very, very good at all of the processes that we teach at Seller Systems. I'll hand it back to you, Anthony.
Awesome. And I think we also have one on here for electronics, but just a lot of technical know-how. If you're going to be selling a product for the first time and you have low MOQ, it can be difficult to get high quality products that are actually going to go out. And then we have short-term LTV on there as well. Now, the next section that I'm going to cover is going to be helpful in understanding the overall picture of how Data Dive works, and it's going to help make a lot more sense of what we do in the validation section using the product scorecard and using the profits tool. And so I call this section the understanding the master keyword list. You're going to hear us refer to this over and over again as the MKL. This is a term that we coined, that we started teaching even before Data Dive was around. We built this into Google Sheet, and you'll see other tools, other people referencing this. We were really the first people to start digging deep on this and teaching to our students inside of Seller Systems. So I'm going to give you two more reminders. This is the second to last reminder. Go and download Data Dive. Go and use this free code because you want to be following along. Use the code CoCreate24. You will not be billed anything, and you'll be able to follow the exact workflow. So let me explain what is a master keyword list. What you have to understand, I know I mentioned this earlier, is that we do not sell products. We are selling keywords when it comes to selling our products on Amazon. There are people coming to the platform every single month, and Amazon really operates really like a search engine. Just like someone would use Google to find the answer to a question, people are going to come to Amazon to find a specific product. So every month, people have the intent to buy a product. They're coming to Amazon and they're typing in different ways of searching for a product. Now, if I were to look only at the keywords that are coming up for one single product, it's going to give me a very limited view of what we call a niche. And so if I were to look, for example, let's say we're looking at this product, which is a dog hat. If I look for just one single product and the keywords that are linked and associated to that product, I'm going to see a small fraction of all of the different ways that people are searching for a product or could potentially conceivably search for a product, right? So like here, you can see we've got a handful of different keywords, but if I were to only look for this one product, it's just going to show me a slice of that niche. Versus if I'm able to pull the keyword list for not just one product, but 10 to 15 products for a niche, it's going to give us a much deeper, a much wider list. And so that is what's going to be done here inside of our master keyword list. It's going to show you a master keyword list of all of the different ways that people are searching for products and all of the different keywords that are driving sales for a niche. In the past, we used to create all of this manually in Google Sheets and exporting data from other product research tools. Now DataDive is going to build you this entire master keyword list in literally just a few minutes. We're going to go through that exact process today. So this is what a master keyword list looks like. You can see in this niche, we have 148 different ways that people are searching for dog hats. And then underneath each product, we're going to see the organic rank for each of these competitors, for each of these different keywords. What you have to understand about selling on Amazon is that you want your organic ranks to be as high as possible. In an ideal world, you would be ranked in position 1 for as many of the keywords in the master keyword list as possible. If I was going to sell a product into a niche, and let's say that there was 15 sellers and they were all 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, completely down the row for all 148 keywords, is that going to be easier or more difficult versus if I were to go sell in a niche where you had 15 sellers and most of the people were ranked 37, 90, 74, right? All of those top spots are still unoccupied. They're still open. And so we're going to discuss today how to look at a niche and see not only all of the ways people search for a product, but how competitive is this niche already from a keyword and a ranking standpoint. It's really important, and we're going to show you this today, that when you start working off of a master keyword list, that you are going to what we call clean the MKL. So what this means is you're going to be eliminating any branded search terms, and you're going to eliminate any keywords that are not relevant before you start doing your analysis. We're going to show you exactly how to do that today. And so putting together a master keyword list is important because of a concept that we call root. And roots are really the whole basis of how DataDive works and how Amazon's search algorithm works. And the concept behind a root meaning 2 or more words, you're going to want to remember this. Write this down in your notes because this is going to come up when answering questions in the product scorecard. I teach office hours 3 times a week for DataDive, and one of the biggest questions we get is, Anthony, how do I know, is this a root? Should I count this as a root? A keyword root is 2 or more words that is a unique way of describing a product. And this is all inside of DataDive. You don't have to formulate any of this yourself. You don't have to do any math. But just so you can see here, we're selling this product, which is a toiletry. And if you don't know, there's many different ways that people can search for a toiletry bag. Obviously, you have toiletry bag, you have bathroom bag. A less common way, but still getting thousands of searches a month, is called a DOP kit. I didn't even know that before seeing the report for this product, as well as a cosmetic bag. A product can go by many different names. And so if you're looking at how the breakdown of these keywords work in Amazon search algorithm, toiletry bag is not just the keyword toiletry and bag. Toiletry bag is a root which includes 215 different keywords with a broad search volume of almost 400,000 searches a month. So if people are selling a product into a niche and all they have in their listing is toiletry bag, the only keywords that they're indexed for are toiletry bag, but they're missing out on all of these other keyword roots, there's going to be potential to go and sell a product in that niche and outrank those competitors and do really well. So you can see moving down this list, a large distribution of the keywords. Most of the search volume is coming from toiletry bag. But if we look at the total of all of these other keyword roots, like toiletry bag woman, travel toiletry bag man, there's still a significant amount of search volume that we can take advantage of. And because we teach you how to write your listing in a correct way, we can make sure that you get indexed from these keywords very soon after launching a product. The other thing to keep in mind when we're doing keyword research, I kind of already explained this a little bit with the justification for what is a keyword root, but Amazon doesn't wait for actions to be taken on all 215 keywords that are related to toiletry bag. You're able to get credit from just having those keywords toiletry bag in your listing. You're able to get credit for all of those 215 keywords related to that keyword root. So if a customer searches for dog hat and that those keywords are in your listing, you're going to be able to get credit not just for dog hat, but potentially multiple other keywords that are related to that keyword root. So it's really important to understand this breakdown of how keywords work on Amazon's platform. So we're not going to spend too much time in terms of writing listings today. Out of all of the things on Amazon, writing the listing is probably the easiest part now. And one of the big reasons for that is DataDive has eliminated all of the guesswork from writing listing. Our AI listing builder will basically write the entire listing for you. It'll be pretty much perfect from start so that you can only have to spend a little bit of time making small modifications, checking the AI and automations work, and then you can focus on other areas. But we're going to go through this in the competitiveness section. This is going to come up in the product scorecard. You're going to be looking to see not only how competitive a niche is, how proficient are the sellers who are already selling in that niche? How proficient are they at writing listings? Are there areas of opportunity for you to write a better listing than the current competitors, get more of what we call ranking juice, and perform better than those competitors? So let's say we have two competitors and we're going to see which one of these listings get more ranking juice credit. One has dog hat in the title. The other has, it's basically the keyword dog hat is in the title versus another competitor where they only have the keyword in their bullet point, right? So one listing has the keyword in their title. The other has it in the bullet points. Which seller is going to get more ranking juice, is going to have more ranking potential? It's the competitor with the keywords in their title. Now, if that sounds a little abstract, if it sounds a little complicated, don't worry, because ranking juice is a feature that's built into DataDive, and it's going to give you a score for how your listing is written, and it's going to show your listing on a leaderboard versus all of the other competitors, and it's going to take a lot of the guesswork out of writing your own listing. It's going to take a lot of guesswork out of this product validation process. So I won't spend too much time on this, but if you don't have keywords correctly put into your listing, if you don't have those roots I was mentioning earlier reinforced in your listing, it's going to be very difficult to rank for certain keywords. This is also an opportunity. When we're in product validation, if you're looking at a niche and you see, wow, there's a lot of sellers here that are missing out on fundamental core keyword roots, that's an opportunity. That's an advantage for us because we can come in using DataDive. We can launch that product with the listing written correctly with our ranking juice maximized and beat other competitors really just based on our listing SEO. And if we check off all of the other boxes that we teach in product launching, you can do extremely well. So we're going to talk a little bit about this today, how you can write the listing correctly, how you can see the master keyword list and analyze the niche so that you don't confuse Amazon's ranking algorithm and get grouped into the wrong categories. We're going to show you how when you launch a product to make sure that you're not going to be missing rank for keywords where you don't have those roots in the listing and just overall having difficulty ranking for certain keywords. So this is a little bit of what it looks like. We cover a bit more of this in launch. Product validation is just the starting point that you're going to need to understand when launching a product. There are multiple other steps after this. So again, we won't get into this too much because it's not as relevant to validation. We get more into this inside of launch, but just really breaking down how Ranking Juice is calculated. I guess what I'll say, the recap on this is this used to be a very manual process. My agency back in the day used to charge hundreds of dollars to write listing copy. Now, this is something you don't need to pay an agency to do anymore. You can go into DataDive and it's going to factor in all of these different things, like what are the most important keyword routes, how is your listing written, the different match types, and it's going to basically assign values, assign scores, and you're going to be able to see that today looking at the Ranking Juice leaderboard inside of DataDive, and it's going to basically give you a score and show you how competitive the niche is from an SEO standpoint. So I won't spend too much time on this right now, but we have this scoring system for how the listing is written, what the aggregate search volume of the different routes are, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So with DataDive, our whole vision is how can we look at every single area of selling on Amazon, and instead of it taking hours, how can we have it take minutes? Just creating something like the master keyword list. If you were to go and do this yourself manually, it would literally take you hours to pull the data, clean up the data. I say here that it takes minutes. Before, it used to take about half an hour to start a dive. We just released a new feature called Niche Dive, which is actually going to do all of the work for you. Just have to check the work of our algorithm, and it's going to build you a whole niche and go straight into your master keyword list in under 5 minutes. So we're getting faster and faster, and over time, this is going to be automated. So I think this is one of the last things that I show, and then I'm going to hand it off to Brandon, and we're actually going to validate a product in real time. But this is something else, something that's also really important to understand. You're going to see this inside of the master keyword list. So this is another section that we get a lot of questions about that you should write down and take note. There is going to be an area inside of DataDive which basically gives each competitor a score for how competitive they are. And so the score threshold is basically very strong, weak, and then very weak. And they're color-coded. And so what this basically means is, let's say there's 100 keywords in your master keyword list. There's going to be a percentage of keywords that seller is ranked on page 1. That's within the top 45 positions. And so anyone that shows up in the platform as being red, very strong, they're going to be ranked on page 1 for 80+% of the keywords in the MKL. So if there's 100 keywords in your MKL, that person is going to be ranked on page 1 within the top 45 spots for 80 out of those 100 keywords. Anyone who is strong is going to be ranked on page 1 for 60+% of the MKL. Weak is 40+%, and very weak is 20+%. So this is a big factor when we're looking at how competitive a niche is, and realistically, how long is it going to take to beat sellers in that niche? So we see this over and over again. If you join Inner Circle, you'll be added to a Facebook group. People are always posting their launches up, and they're showing their rank radar. It's tracking their keywords. It's showing their MKL performance. And most of our students are able to beat the groups in the very weak or weak within about 4 weeks of launch. Sometimes we're seeing people get much higher than this. I've seen many examples of people getting ranked for 80+% of the keywords in the master keyword list within a few weeks of launch. Now, this is going to depend on how competitive the niche is. If there's more very strong sellers, if they have already extremely high organic ranks, it's going to take a little bit long. Not every product is going to be able to get indexed for 80+% of the master keyword list within 4 weeks. But what I'm saying is, if you find the right niche, if you find the right opportunity, it's definitely possible. We do see it quite frequently. So just some realistic time expectations. If you're looking at a niche and you see people that are in this weak or very weak category, you're going to be able to beat these people. If you follow our launch SOPs, you're going to be able to beat these people pretty much right away. You're going to be able to beat these people, the weak, within your first month. And then within a few months of launching, you're going to be able to seriously compete with these sellers. So when you're looking at the master keyword list and you're saying, hey, this person is 60+% search volume. If I put the time and effort and I hustle on this product, would that amount of sales, if it's profitable, would that be something that's acceptable for you? Would that move the needle on your personal and financial goals? These are the things that you're going to want to think of. Okay, cool. So I'm going to skip through these last parts. It's more of a breakdown of how Ranking Juice is calculated. This is the last thing that I want to cover. We talked in the beginning about how a big reason that products typically fail on Amazon is not accurately forecasting the amount of inventory that you need and also the budget required to launch the product. So I'm going to show you these matrices. I think you can see the dog in the background. Arya's crawling around on the bed. We're going to show you this. You don't need to memorize this. We have all of this built into the tool with our profits tool, but it's basically showing based on how long the product is going to take to arrive at Amazon, and based on your landed cost and the number of units per day that you're selling, it's going to show you what the budget required to launch this product is. So obviously, the more that the landed cost is going to increase and the more units a day that you plan on selling, the higher the budget is going to be required to launch. So you can adjust these toggles inside of Data Dive, and you can go from 45, 60. The most common is going to be 90 days. And again, I just want to reiterate, we're going to show you two different ways of validating a product. If you launch a product and you don't have enough inventory, or you launch a product and you don't have the adequate budget required to launch, it's going to be very difficult, most likely impossible to succeed. So we're going to show today, I'm just going to skip ahead real quick and show this workflow and then hand it off to Brandon. We're going to walk through this workflow today. This is our product validation workflow. Before, this is something that used to take hours to go and do. Some people are spending days and days doing this. The first time you do this, it's going to be a little bit difficult. You're going to have to know where to look inside Data Dive. You're going to have to know how to answer the questions. We're going to show you how to do each of those today. But the first time you do this, it's going to take you like 30 to 45 minutes. But once you do this 5+ times, you're going to know exactly where to find the answers. You're going to know exactly how to fill out each of these sections, and you're going to be able to validate a product in about 10 to 15 minutes. And so what we're about to walk you through is the process for how you start your dive and how you select the competitors for that niche, how to clean your master keyword list so that you can start doing an analysis. We're going to show you how to do an analysis over the master keyword list, see what the available market is, see how competitive this product is. And then we're going to show you how to do two key things. We're going to show you how to fill out the product scorecard, which is a list of questions that you answer. And at the end, it's going to give you a score that's positive or negative. It's going to tell you how risky a niche is. And then we're going to show you how to fill out the profits tool. Profits tool is going to show you what the estimated budget required to launch the product is. And so you're going to want to use these two data points, the score from your product scorecard, and you're going to want to use the budget required to launch from profits to make a decision about if this product should pass validation, right? So you might find a product that has a very good positive score, but you need $150,000 to launch the product. And so if you don't have $150,000 to launch the product, it doesn't necessarily matter how good the score is, just means that's not a risky niche, but you don't have enough money to launch the product. Ideally, you're going to want to find products that are going to match both of your criteria when launching. We're also going to show you how to run the AI product brief. This is for products that pass validation or ones that are right on the edge. And it's going to give you ways to improve the product, to develop the product, so that if you do launch the product, you're going to have ideas on how it can be improved. So before I hand it off, this is the last thing that I'm going to say for real, and then we'll get into a real world example. I'm also going to be in the chat. So if anyone is having issues with getting into their Data Dive account and getting ready to follow along while Brandon validates a product in real time, feel free to start commenting in the chat, and I'll be responding to these. The thing that I want to reiterate here, and not reiterate because I haven't brought this up yet, you're going to fill out at least one. My goal is everyone's going to fill out at least one product scorecard and profits today. The pro tip is do not be discouraged, right? If you're running a product today, you've got an idea, right? Maybe you're already selling a product somewhere else. You want to see what the potential is on Amazon. If your product fails validation, don't be discouraged. Most products will fail validation. Most products should fail validation. This is not a bad sign. Each product that fails validation is going to be money and time that you save. All the time I'm at conferences, I'm at events, I get onto calls with different people, and they're telling me, hey, I launched this product and I failed. And if I have time, what I do is I say, well, let me go back and run this product through our product scorecard, and let me see if I could have saved you that time, if I could have saved you that money, and if I could have showed you that this product probably didn't meet your validation criteria. You probably should have never proceeded with launching this. The reality is you're going to have to look through dozens and dozens and dozens of products. And then based on that analysis, going very deep, very wide, there's going to be a small subset of the products that you initially try to validate that you're going to say, okay, you know what? Out of everything I searched for, here's a couple of good opportunities. I'm going to go forward with developing that product, ordering samples, and ultimately launching. So don't be discouraged. Keep digging. And Brandon, I'm going to hand it over to you, and we're going to validate some products in real time.